really kind of forcing it back a little bit. It's going to be very interesting to see who's got this one going and who's going to be trying to go first or second. Both of these are both very explosive decks as well.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. And this is going to be the White Forest strategy going first right now. And this is very scary for the Crystron player because White Forest, as you said, is one of the best strategies in the game right now. It is very explosive. And if you don't have the correct answer, which is more often the Droll Logbird, then you are in a bit of a trouble because the field is absolutely insane. It is very hard to break. And we're going to see if Rob has any answer to the field of Shaheen.
Yeah, exactly. Starting off with LZ, it's probably one of the best ones to start for. Special summons itself by sending a spell or trap from your hand or field. And on top of that, the only thing better than sending a White Forest spell or trap to use an effect like that is sending the black go last. The reason that players are going to be utilizing this in the White Forest strategy is because it does have an on-field effect, but then also a graveyard effect that can be put into use later on.
And we are going to normal summon the Sylvie right there, which is already great because you have access to both the tuner and the non-tuner, which gives you access to the Synchro 6, which is very, very important. But before that, Rob is going to drop the Fuvalos in the graveyard and put Shaheen in a bit of a tough situation. This is not the best Molcharmy against White Forest because, of course, there is a Purulia, which is great against White Forest, but it still gives you some draws, a lot of draws.
Yeah, 100% on that one. It's going to be very interesting to see if Shaheen can kind of adapt his strategy to rely less on the extra deck summons. That's when you really do start going into the brand new Diabell. So you've got the White Forest Diabell, which is exactly what we were going to be searching out here, and of course Vengeance. Both of those are strong enough in their own right. And it's always quite nice to see the strategies that players then approach once they are met down with a Chummy, because most decks have that ability to lessen their end field. And it looks like we're going to be diving headfirst deep into that Fliveros to see how many draws we want to give Rob on this one.
Absolutely. We are going to go to the Diablos, which is absolutely great in this strategy because you have the opportunity to get back a magic, a spell, or trap cards from the graveyard to the hand. And Shaheen just decides that he doesn't care about the Fuvalos. He wants to go all in the strategy because he thinks that his deck is just so strong that his field will not be broken.
Exactly that. The one additional benefit that White Forest are going to get to you, which is probably why it's so important that you got to the Diabell Queen, is it allows you to summon out a Synchro Tuner during your opponent's turn, which means, in theory, you can also Synchro Summon during their turn to give them a little bit more of an issue. And being able to get direct access to a Sinful Foil spell because the Azamina LZ was sent to the graveyard as Synchro material is just going to add even more resource so that he can afford to put all three Diabells on the field, being the Queen, the White Forest, and the Vengeance, and still end up with a very powerful interruption because, as a bit of a preview for those of you that are unaware, when you are utilizing the Diabell Queen plays, this can also lead you into the Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, which gives you a technical, as its name will say, with Snake Eyes, the ability to push cards into the spell and trap zones as another form of disruption, and really being able to get most advantages possible while making sure Rob doesn't gain a huge amount of advantage off of the Fluoros.
Yeah, and I think that the Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon is one of the best cards of the previous set. I think a lot of people are, not paying attention to this one, but this is a generic Synchro summon, which can be really great because it is one of the best disruptions that you can get in the game. It's not a destruction, it is literally pushing down to the spell and trap zone, and Shaheen is gonna utilize that. But for now, he is still going into the combos, and we see the Purulia dropped into the graveyard, and Shaheen is gonna have to play into two Molcharmies, which is not a great spot at all. So what is he gonna do? Is he going to go all in and try to put his strategy down, or is he gonna try to just put the Vengeance and the new Diabell Star? It is going to be interesting because all the decks must have some plan when facing those Molcharmies, and we are going to see what his approach.
How he's going to approach it. I mean, exactly like you said, a bit of the curse to the commentator on that one. The Purulia is the stronger option for this one. And where Shaheen felt that he could play around the Fluoros by going, okay, well, we're not going to adapt our extra deck so much. Let's go for the Queen. Let's go for Vengeance. Let's go for normal Diabell and try and make our field that way. Rob has obviously been able to draw that all-important Purulia. And I feel that this is going to be a very, very interesting duel going back and forth to see how Shaheen can kind of control the game state. Having access to that Queen still gives him more than enough disruption. And remembering as well, because we have activated the White Forest field spell, we're not going to be able to special summon Dark Monsters from the extra deck only. So the summon of the Diabell is absolutely fine. And also remember, there are those floating effects of the White Forest Queen that while you control 2 or more Diabells, your monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects, which is quite important when you're trying to protect your field and work your way into a Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon. Or maybe we might be surprised by what else could be used, as I hoping, and we could be wrong on this one. I was really hoping there was going to be a Zapper Shrimp in there to work its way into a Chaos Angel.
What a card. What a card. When I first read the card, I thought, what is this card? It's not that strong, but in the end, it is really, really strong in this strategy. And yeah, we will see if Shaheen just doesn't need it.
Yeah, it looks like we've gone through the Filler de Bell to get access to the Vengeance. And we are going to be summoning down the Vengeance. So you banish 1 spell and 1 trap from the graveyard, summon it down. The other benefit of this is if Filler de Bell is banished, all of the Diabell monsters gain 500 attack. So all of these monsters right now, if we was going second, would be very, very scary and aggressive.
And this is very important because they are not gaining these attack points until the end of the turn, but until the end of the duel.
Exactly.
Which is great, which is absolutely great. And here we see only 4 monsters, but those 4 monsters are kind of a threat to Rob because we have, of course, the ability to pay half your life points to get access to a target in the extra deck, in addition to a destruction on the opponent field. And I think this is gonna be it for the White Forest player, Shaheen. He tried to do his best under those mulch armies, and I think he did really well, but we are going to see if Rob can break the field. We know that the Crystron Horus is very scary when it has a lot of cards, and we start here with some great start because we are activating the Horus cards, discarding the Smyger, and the Smyger will get access to the Inclusion. Inclusion, which is a great card in the Crystron strategy because not only it lets you to add a Crystron card, but also you have the ability to banish it from the graveyard to get access to a special summon from the graveyard. So we are going to see if Rob is going to do that. I think so, but for now, we are going to go through the Sarcophagus.
Yeah, exactly that. This could be a better cherry-picked combo if he tried. And also backing that up with a Forbidden Droplet. It's going to be quite interesting to see. He's got plenty of cards to send from his hand, less so he needs to send anything from his field. Let's see how many Diabells he is going to attempt to negate. Ultimately, there is at least 2 that I would personally be aiming for. Mainly 3, just so you can get past being able to destroy the cards via card effects. But I can imagine, Vengeance and Queen will be the 2.
Yeah, and this is absolutely huge for Rob here. This is a champion's hand. He had the mulch armies and he drew the droplet, which is kind of his only way to go through the field. So he decided to negate 2 of the most important cards of Shaheen. He still has some interactions, of course, but they are lowered. They are totally lowered. And Rob is going to the horror stuff right now. So the horror stuff is really great in Crystron because you have the ability to just go to the zombie vampire and to get access to your engine because every single card which is in the graveyard for the Crystron deck is really important because you can literally just get them back onto the field or get their powerful graveyard effects. So this is absolutely great. This is a great situation for Rob. And we know that Shaheen, with his White Forest Azamina, doesn't play a lot of non-engine cards. So he's a bit in a tough spot right now.
Yeah, they've still got to remember the Black Goat that lost is currently sitting in Shaheen's graveyard, so it's still a form of disruption. Sometimes you kind of want your opponent to forget about that because it was sent so early on in the turn. You just need to make sure you don't forget about it yourself, as that will be a very, very important form of interruption. It can stop Rob progressing plays in a certain way. But as you've already mentioned, we can already see that the Sulfurneer and Sulfador are already in the graveyard. We've already banished Smyger, and we're going to be able to activate Inclusion. Being able to work through the rest of the Crystron engine is going to be very, very important here. And when we look at the Horus monsters, he actually plays a 3rd Horus name, so we could be going for an all-out aggressive push as well if he wants to get any more cards out of his hand. And we know that he has full advantage with that thanks to both of the mulch armies he was able to activate and resolve during Shaheen's turn.
And here is the Tristaros, which is one of the best cards in the Crystron strategy because it protects you from the interactions of your opponent. If your opponent interacts with you, then you have the ability to just chain the Tristaros effect to a special summon from the deck and perform a synchro summon. And this is great, especially under something like Nibiru, because you have the ability to access the Samurai from the extra deck and then get rid of the Nibiru, basically. So yeah, very good spot here for Rob. and he knows what he's doing, so I think he's just gonna get rid of the field. The question is he gonna get rid of the entire field? First question. And the second question is, what is he gonna be able to do to Shaheen life points?
Yeah, it looks like Shaheen has activated the graveyard effect of Black Go that lasts to kind of slow Rob down so that he can't go much further on certain areas. So the graveyard effect of this one allows you to banish it from the grave to declare a monster card name. This turn, neither player can activate the effects of monsters on the field with that original name.
What do you declare?
It's a very, very good point. I suppose you're trying to, you kind of really need to declare something, because as you've mentioned, the Tristanus will only chain the effect to then work its way into said synchro monster that might be possible. It looks like he might be calling the Sulfur-Deer. Oh, he definitely didn't call the Sulfur-Deer on that one.
You can also call like something like the Elescalatus, which is a great card, and if you cannot declare its effect on field, you cannot get access to the card back from the graveyard or the managed zone. But I don't know. This is hard. This is really hard. There are a lot of cards that you can declare, but is one gonna really stop the Crystron strategy? I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, exactly that. I feel the one thing that we need to be worrying about here, or that Rob needs to be very careful of, is even though we've used Forbidden Droplet on 2 of the Diabell monsters, we also remember that the attack is halved and then negated. So all of them Diabell monsters are still going to be slightly stronger than they appear to be on the field. And then the other 2 are also going to have that a bit of aggressive push. Ooh, this looks like Moraine, which is the trap card that allows you to target one of your opponent's monsters and flip it face down. A technical pseudo trap card of Book of Moon.
Yeah, so that's not a really good situation for Rob here, because you want to have access to the graveyard effect of the Elescalatus. But is he gonna be able to just destroy his card?
Yeah, we still have, from what I can see, the King Sarcophagus to send an Imseti from deck to the graveyard, or ultimately send that 3rd Horus name, summon that back, which will ultimately become a 3200 boss monster, with the addition of having the 2 other Imseti and the other Horus monsters on the field as well.
Oh, and we have the Sulfafnir right there, and it's a great way to try to destroy one of your own cards. Yeah, he's going to destroy the Elescalatus, and it is in the graveyard. So he's now able to activate its effect to get back some monsters on the field. Slowly, he is building his field and trying to get rid of the opponent's one.
Yeah, slowly but surely. You can tell that Rob knows how to pilot this deck inside and out. Being able to play around that Book of Moon-esque effect allows him to still, as you've mentioned, regain that resource that we probably could have thought would have been lost. We still have the ability to make a rank 8 play if we wish to, and that's way before we even get more tuners on the field to dive further into our synchro plays.
Yeah, he activated the effect of Tristaros, which is absolutely great in the graveyard, because you can just target the synchro monster and just get access to here, the C3. You don't want to have this card in hand, but when it is on the field, it is way better.
Yeah, every deck needs to have a card like that, in my opinion. You want that one card you never want to see, but you want to see it on your field, and as you mentioned, not in the hand. Now, we also have Roots of 2 level 5s here, working our way into one of the classics. I say classics because, you know, you can never forget Cyber Dragon. But we're now going to be seeing the XYZ's form of this, and that is one way to get rid of the witch that makes your monsters not being able to be destroyed by card effect, by just simply absorbing it as a material, should he choose.
And this is one of my favorite monsters. You know, I'm a really Cyber Dragon enjoyer, so I was absolutely blessed when I saw that that Crystron was playing Cyber Dragon. And yeah, this is a great monster, of course. As you mentioned, it is able to just get rid of menace on the opponent's field. So I think he's just going to do that in a few seconds.
Yeah, I think this is where the deck's really going to come into its own, and where you can see the benefits of the Horus engine as well. So now we have 3 Horus names on the field. We've also got Cyber Dragon Infinity, which I could only imagine would be absorbing one of the Diabells that has not been negated. And it definitely looks like he's going for the Queen of the White Forest, being able to make sure that all the Diabells can then be destroyed by card effect, should he wish to get that to that particular point.
Yeah, he's going to declare the effect. Is he going to... He's going to absorb the Diabell Star, the classic one, should I say?
The fact we have more than one Diabell Star, and we are now calling that one classic, and it was only one format ago, kind of shows it all.
And yeah, this is a bit scary. It's a bit scary because you have the ability to just send an opponent's monster to graveyard during the damage step with the sarcophagus. So this is another way to get rid of the menace of the opponent. So Rob has a lot going on for him right now. I think you want to just go to your synchro plays as well, but will he be able to do that? I'm not sure about that. Not this turn as well.
Yeah, so I think currently Cyber Dragon Infinity is up by 800 attack points, which puts it to 2,900 if I get the maths correct on that one. So we're going to be going over the Queen, which was halved previously. I believe its attack stats was 3,000 attack after the 500 attack gain, which gets reduced to 1,500. So we're going to be getting some damage on the field there. And then we're going to be able to try and clear off the rest. Going Imseti into Vengeance, which was also halved thanks to Forbidden Droplet. And then reminding that Dunfermet is at 3,200 as it gains 1,200 for every Horus name on the field, which should be able to clear the Witch of the White Forest off. And then we have Happy. Now, a lot of people also forget the additional effects of the Horus monsters on the field because usually they are used as either putting through for the OTK play or they're used to kind of set up XZ's plays as well. So when you remember cards like Happy, Happy gives you the ability that as while it's on the monster and if another card or cards you control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you get to target 2 cards that are banished and or in either graveyard and then add them to the hand or shuffle them into the deck, which can be very, very useful to make sure that Shaheen can't revive the Vengeance during the next turn because being able to bring Vengeance back if there is another trap in the graveyard, which as of yet there isn't, can be very, very important.
Yeah, and having the 3 of them on the field is kind of scary because, you know, if you get rid of one of them, the 2 others will just declare the effect. You mentioned the effect of the Happy, but of course there is also the M set, which can just get rid of a card on your field then. And you also have the Duamutef, which is great. It can make you draw some cards. So, you know, it gives you some fuel, some gas.
I think Rob has definitely drawn more than enough cards this duel already, but we did just see there the ability to use the LZ in the graveyard to return one of the White Forest Synchro monsters. Very, very good. It's what I love about the White Forest strategy is it allows you to not rely on multiple copies of the White Forest extra deck monsters, and it already has its own inbuilt recycle capabilities, while also, when you get the LZ back to the field, your Sylvie, you're able to then add another White Forest spell trap. With the brand new inclusion of the White Forest field spell, it just gets you so much more advantage to move your plays further forward, even if you are down to lower resources.
But here it's still going to be hard for Shaheen. I mean, Rob doesn't have a lot for him because he has the Infinity, of course, but the Horus cards don't do things themselves.
Yep.
You know, this is a reactive play. But there's still the C3 on the field that we should not forget because the C3 can just revive back a monster and then perform a synchro summon. So you have the ability to go to, for example, the Dragster, which is a spell and trap negate. And yeah, I think he can just resist. And you know that the Crystron cards are very good into grind game. You have a lot of resource in your graveyard, so if you if you just keep in the game and you stay in the game, then you are pretty much winning the game.
Exactly that, and as if you're reading Rob's mind, he's gone directly for the FA Dawn Dragster. So as it currently sets, oh,
this is the Droll Bird! Oh, what
as
a card!
If you needed any more, you see the smile on Rob's face there. He knows that is exactly what it is.
Wow,
Oh.
It's gonna be it. I guess Shaheen doesn't have anything to just go through that.
No.
There is a full field, and yeah, it's gonna
be lucky with his opening hand of that one. And let's see if Shaheen has been able to side in any cards to kind of combat those mole chummies.
Yeah, and now I would like to be in Shaheen's position because, you know, you are just waiting for your opponent to drop a Puria or something like that. But in draw phase, we are seeing the wanted water card because it lets you add the Diabol Star and get access to all your engine, especially the Azamina one because you have the ability to just set the Azamina stuff with the Diabol Star, the OG one, as I said.
Yeah, this is what I love about White Forest, and when you're able to pilot it correctly as well, is when you activate. You usually want to activate Wanted during the draw phase. The one big benefit of something like that, if you're a little bit new to the game, is that Droll and Lockbird cannot be responded in during the draw phase. So you're able to add your Diabel Witch, which technically gets you a free draw before you walk into Droll territory, and then it really does come down from that point on. You have the ability to use the Diabel Witch. That will then set you a card, so still continuing to play around Droll and Lockbird. And the first time that you search through this route of play, you should be going for the Hallowed Azamina, meaning that by the time your opponent does respond with a Droll and Lockbird, you are then in the position to, at the very least, set yourself up with a negate in the form of the Sylvie.
Absolutely, yeah. And here Shaheen decided to summon the Diabol Star, but he decided to pitch the Impermanence, which is really, I mean, this is a kind of a sign. It shows you that maybe he doesn't have a lot of engine in his hand, and he has to get rid of those interactions.
Yeah, it is a very, very interesting choice on this one. It looks like the first search we're going to be going for off of the Tales of the White Forest. So if his opponent does have a Droll, this isn't the ideal way to go. Because if this gets hit with a Droll and Lockbird, if you're looking at something like LZ will try to search. If you go for a Stella will try to special summon, which is absolutely fine because it still opens up the door for the ability of a Synchro level 6. But then if you want to be going for your best starter being the Sylvie, that could get hit with the back of the Droll and Lockbird because Sylvie wants to search a White Forest spell, which ultimately ends up then wanting to search one step further. So try and minimize your searches where at all priority, and it looks like he's gone for the best option here for Estella, because Estella will special summon, meaning that even if he does get hit with a Droll Lockbird...
Oh, and here it is! There it is, the Droll Lockbird for Rob. He's smiling, he's laughing, because he knows that it is a great card, and he's in great position against the White Forest strategy. But Shaheen decided to play around the Droll Lockbird, adding the Astella, as you said, because the Astella will special summon from the deck and try to get something out of the equation, but this is very hard for him because Rob only used one card and he's in a tough spot. He cannot add anything during the rest of the turn, and you know that the White Forest cards just want to add every single time.
Yeah, I suppose the one benefit for Shaheen's side is that he knows there's no Mulchommies coming down on this turn.
Yeah.
But exactly like you said, being able to go for the Estella gives the ability to still work its way into a Synchro Summon. The only downside of that one is when you look at the level 6 Synchro Summons that they want to be making, they want to be making cards that try to add you cards on top of that. So it does mean that Droll Lockbird is an incredibly powerful hand trap to kind of quench the White Forest strategy, and it really does then come down to the ability of getting access to your Azamina side, which is kind of the counteraction to be able to still allow you to continue to play.
And he's going to go to the extra deck, and this is going to be the moon here, and he's going to go to the Finsmith stuff, which is great to try to play on the Droll. We saw that the last rounds with Jess, who played Finsmith stuff in her Memento, and I think that is a great solution to this problem.
It's a very resilient engine, and exactly like you mentioned, it gives decks like this that do have these instant weaknesses for cards like Droll and Lockbird, even with the Malice strategy sometimes as well that we've seen in the past, that if they get hit with Lances, they need a plan B. It's always best to have an additional plan or additional option to work your way into so that you're not ending your field on a suboptimal end goal and you still have ways to play. And it's exactly what we're doing here by being able to access the Fiendsmith engine and working our way into an Engraver, possibly working even further into, I could only imagine, either a sequence to try and work into an Azamina fusion, or we're going to be working our way into the Desiree to set up our target negates.
Yeah, and it is going to bring a lot of advantages because not only you are playing around Droll, but you are also getting some grind game, because you have the Finsmith card, and the Finsmith stuff is very strong in the graveyard. So if you have a lot of interactions in the hand, you can somehow try to resist. And it is going to be the Caesar, which is a great card in the format because it allows you to play against the big dogs like the Mitsurugi Raziel and the Malice strategies. The Malice strategies, you can prevent them from summoning back the links 3 from the banish. And against the Raziel Mitsurugi, you have the ability to cancel the ritual spell, which is great. But here, is it going to be enough? He has somehow made something on his field on the Droll, which is great. I wouldn't think that Shaheen would have been able to do that. So is it going to be enough?
Yeah.
There is one set card, and there is a Droll Lockbird in the hand. I have to tell you that.
Okay, spoiler alert. This is you Droll me, I Droll you. Let's see, Shaheen. That is exactly the one you want to be going for. Being able to respond with a Droll. Oh, this is very interesting as well. So this was back in Drytron format where, as player priority, after you resolve, you have the option to activate Forbidden Droplet first, which in turn means that if you send a monster, your opponent cannot respond with a monster effect ultimately protecting you from Droll and Lockbird, which is very, very well crafted there by Rob.
Yeah, I love this play by Rob right here because he protects himself from the Duel and Lockbird and he negates the Caesar. This is such a great play and this is a champion's play, right?
Yep. Exactly that. I did speak to Rob prior to this, and I was hoping he was going to be unbranded. Unfortunately, that was not the case. He decided to go with the Crystron strategy, and we are good to be able to see this because we're able to see all the different layers that this deck can do, especially the importance of Forbidden Droplet. When you play decks that want their cards in the graveyard, there is no stronger card, in my opinion, than a card like Forbidden Droplet, and that's exactly what we're seeing here, is we're seeing the ability to try and get the cards where we need them to be. We've got the Sulfurneer, the Sulfador, and we've even got the Tristanos, so that if any card is activated from Shaheen, there will still be the resolution of being able to get a synchro summon monster on the field. Unfortunately, there is going to be no dimension barrier, as we do know that one set card.
Oh, there is the Chaos Hunter. We mentioned earlier that the Lancia was a bigger problem for the Crystron strategy, but here we can see that the Chaos Hunter is a big one as well. It's a reminder that, yeah, when you banish some stuff, you are in a bit of a trouble because a lot of people will have some answers in the side deck, and here we will have the Chaos Hunter hit the field, and she prevents Rob from banishing cards. And you know, the Crystron strategy wants to have cards banished, but there's going to be something really important. The thing is, if the Chaos Hunter hits the field in attack position, maybe Rob can just go to the Infinity and absorb the Chaos Hunter and add it as a material. So it is. I think here Shaheen should have put it in defense position.
Yeah, it's always going to be an interesting one because if you put it in defense position, obviously it has a little bit weaker stats. But exactly like Rob has just piloted right here, as you mentioned, the Infinity does seem to be the best route, and being able to go into the Amtrix from the Crystrons is another level 5. So even though you're not able to banish the Sulfurneer from the graveyard, you still have the Sulfador on the field, and you have the ability of the Amtrix to work their way into Nova, and then in turn Infinity to absorb that Chaos Hunter if you need to, or just go directly for the Caesar, whatever you feel is the biggest threat that you want to be able to get rid of, and then still be able to produce or provide from that point on.
Yeah, and we see there Rob is just watching the graveyard and thinking about what he is going to do next. But I think, yeah, his best spot right here is just to go to the extra deck and get the Nova plus Infinity, because he has all he needs.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if he was going to be using this effect. So the effect of the Amtrix has the ability to change all face-up special summon monsters your opponent trusts to defense position, which kind of does take away from the Infinity play, but he's just going to go into the attack.
Yeah, it kind of works as well. It kind of works as well. But the problem is that he got rid of his battle phase, which is, I think, a great tool to get rid of Shaheen's field. But then he's going to be able to use the Tristaros. I think this is why he didn't want to go into Infinity. He wanted to get the Tristaros effect to get 2 monsters from his deck on the field and just to get all his strategies rolling.
Yeah, the other benefit of that is if you're able to destroy the Amtrix, you're going to be able to revive a Crystron monster in your graveyard, except a Synchro monster, and special summon it. So he'll still be able to work his way into Nova and Infinity. I do feel, though, as we mentioned, it might have been more effective to go into, we'll soon see, but going into Nova then Infinity, while all 3 monsters are still left in attack position, you could then absorb the Chaos Hunter and then destroy the Caesar, leaving his opponent with only the Diabell Witch in attack position. So you've cleared off 2 monsters for the price of 1. Now, this might go a little bit further because we do have the other Crystron monsters in the extra deck that can help you clear this field apart. And he does also play one of my favorite synchros that we've received in recent times, the Arms of Gen X Return 0. Not too sure if he'll be able to actually access this card because you will need a Horus monster and you do need a Dark Tuner to make it. So that's where the Assault Synchron comes from the extra deck. But that might be something we'll see being played during Shaheen's turn.
Yeah, and this is very interesting because there are a lot of Crystron players that are not playing those cards. And it's very interesting because here Rob decided to play those cards and to add a little bit of extra deck toolbox. And it is coming clutch right here because he had access to the Tristaros effect and he just tried to dismantle the field of Shaheen. And it works pretty well because there is the Infinity hitting the field. The problem is that he's not going to be able to use effects, of course, because you can only absorb monsters in attack position, but he still is going to build something really strong. I'm not sure if he's going to get rid of every single menace on Shaheen's field, but Shaheen is laughing. This is great to see. This is great to watch. I love watching those players just enjoying their time here.
Enjoying the game, exactly that. I do still feel that Shaheen is well within this duel still. It's going to be really important for Rob to get rid of that Caesar. In my opinion, I feel that the longer you leave that Caesar on the field, currently the Cyber Dragon Infinity is only 2,700 attack points.
Only?
So still not strong. Well, when you've got a Diabell and you've got a Caesar on the field, that is 27's looking pretty small. And then if Shaheen decided not to activate an effect and do exactly what Rob did and just go straight to your battle phase, you can clear off that Infinity. You'd like to think that we're going to get a Crystron cluster recycled or maybe even already opened, and that is one way to deal with Caesar and not need to fret. Not a trap card you want to be seeing off of the top deck with all you have.
It is going to be hard for Shaheen to just break Rob's field. Rob is in a great position right here. Remember, he has an Omni-Negate, he has the Infinity on the field, but he also has access to the Tristaros effect to just get access to another disruption in his extra deck. So I don't really know how Shaheen can get rid of everything right there.
Yeah, I suppose the other benefit, and this could be foresight from Rob as well, is by not destroying the Caesar and not allowing Fiendsmith Engraver to go back to the graveyard, that is a resource that can't be recycled. We all know that Requiem and being able to work its way into a disruption off of the back of Fiendsmith Engraver can also be just as damaging. But it looks like we're going to be activating Deception. Deception allows you to tribute off one of your monsters, which in turn can get rid of his own Caesar if he wants to set up that Engraver play aforementioned. But it looks like we're going to be tributing off the Diabell to possibly work into the Hallowed Azamina.
Is there going to be a response?
There's the cluster.
Course. The cluster, one of the best cards in Crystron. Remember, he can literally destroy 2 cards on Shaheen's field because he has access to a synchro monster, a Crystron synchro monster. So this is going to be it, right?
Yeah, it does look like that, only because we know that Shaheen has that trap card in the hand, and no matter what that card is, it will probably be responded to with Cyber Dragon Infinity. It does look like Rob has been able to turn this one around. Shaheen did pilot White Forest incredibly well, where at all they possibly could, and it's going to look like we're just confirming the cluster's destruction, and Shaheen might see this game out by being able to pass back to Rob to get the final. I mean, no damage has actually been done as of yet. All of his monsters were in defense, so there's still 8,000 damage to get onto the field. We're just looking at the Engraver. You don't really want to be putting your Requiem back. You kind of want to try and put another Light Fiend back, but it doesn't look like that is the option. So if you do want to get some sort of field presence, you would do that. Maybe that is one way to kind of bait out the Infinity, is if Rob feels that that is the only interaction that Shaheen has left, he may use the Cyber Dragon Infinity on it, because he doesn't know that Shaheen only has a trap card in the hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there is something that he knows, is that the White Forest cards usually need another card to work together. And if he only has one card, it's going to be very hard for Shaheen to do anything. So is Rob going to do anything? He's going to activate the Tristaros and get a Synchro 7 on the field. Here is the Sulfador, and he's going to use both of them to just summon the Dragster. So Unspell and Trap Negate plus an Omni Negate with the Infinity. It is going to be impossible for Shaheen to just get through it.
Yeah, unfortunately, as much as I would wish that to be a Sylvie in Shaheen's hand, that would be the only thing to really get this ticking. But exactly as you've mentioned, the Omni Gate of Infinity closes the door to that one. And even if you allow that to go through, whatever spell that possibly a Sylvie could search then gets answered with the FA Dawn Dragster. Shaheen just looking at his graveyard to see if there's anything in there. Ooh.
He can summon back from the graveyard, right?
No, he's going for the Wanted to put back Deception for that draw. Believing in the heart of the cards. And Dawn Dragster, yes, kind of response. No risk taken there from Rob. No risk taken whatsoever. That is absolutely fair play. You kind of have to be protective at all possible. That top deck can be anything. It could be an infinite impermanence, or it could be that starter that you are digging for. So not being allowed to take that risk is always going to be quite important.
For 1 second, I just thought that there was the Diabol Star in the graveyard. But,
yeah.
but it was only the draw. But the draw could have come clutch. But the problem is that, there is the Dragster. So it is literally impossible to go through this, because you have every single piece of interaction for Rob right there. There is the cluster, there is the Infinity, there is the Dragster, and there is all the grind game of the Crystron cards. And on the side of Shaheen, he only has the Engraver and a single card in the hand, and it's gonna be it.
Knock it out.
Victory for Rob, who is gonna get back on track.